Hey there, movie lovers. Welcome back to Cinema Screen HD. Today, we're diving into an action-packed, suspense-filled thriller from 2014, none other than The Equalizer. With an IMDb rating of 7.3 out of 10 and a 61% score on Rotten Tomatoes, this film has definitely made its mark. So let's not waste any time. Let's get into the story and see what this intense movie is all about. So, as the movie begins, we see Robert McCall waking up early in the morning and getting ready for work. He heads to his usual workplace, the Home Mart hardware store in Boston, and gets on with his daily routine. Robert is someone who does everything in order and always on time. He's also very friendly with everyone he works with. One of his co-workers is Ralphie, and Robert is helping him lose weight so he can qualify to become a security officer. Robert is also in the habit of spending his quiet time reading books whenever he gets a chance. After work, instead of heading straight home, Robert usually stops by a diner for a cup of tea before going to bed. That night, just like always, he goes to the diner and chats with Terry, a young woman who works as a prostitute and whom Robert sees there regularly. They start talking about the book he's currently reading. The next day, after finishing up his shift at Home Mart, Robert goes back to the diner as usual. Terry also shows up, but this time, a group of men pull up outside the diner, forcefully shove Terry into a car, and drive away. The following day, Robert helps Ralphie with his workouts again, supporting his goal to lose weight. Later that night, Robert returns to the diner and notices Terry's face is bruised. He asks her about it, but she doesn't say much. As they keep talking, Terry finally reveals that her real name is Alina and that she actually dreams of becoming a singer. As the two of them are walking and talking, Alina tells Robert that when she was just 5 or 6 years old, she was taken by force into the Russian mafia's sex trafficking ring. That's how she ended up in prostitution against her will. While they're still talking and walking down the street, a car pulls up. Inside it are Slavy, one of the top figures in the Russian mob, and one of his men. Slavy suddenly walks up to Alina and slaps her across the face, asking why she hasn't been answering his calls. Then he forces her into the car. Before driving off, Slavy hands Robert his business card and leaves. After that, even though Robert keeps going to the diner for the next few days like he usually does, he doesn't see Alina anywhere. Then he finds out that someone had beaten her up so badly, she was taken to the hospital and admitted to the ICU. Robert visits the hospital to see her, quietly watching from a distance. He talks to Alina's best friend Mandy and asks what really happened. Mandy tells him that Slavy is the one who badly assaulted Alina. That night, Robert goes home and starts thinking about what he should do next. Meanwhile, Slavy is at an upstairs section of a restaurant owned by the Russian mafia. Robert walks in and goes straight up to him. Calmly, he offers Slavy $9,800 in exchange for Alina's freedom, but Slavy refuses. So Robert walks to the door, locks it, scans the room and the men inside, sets the timer on his watch, and then he strikes. In a brutal and calculated assault, Robert kills all 5 men in the room, including Slavy and his bodyguards. Afterward, Robert returns home, calmly washes the blood off his hands, and the next morning, as usual, heads back to work at Home Mart. While he's working, Ralphie shows up and proudly tells Robert that he's lost weight. Meanwhile, back on the Russian mafia's side, all hell breaks loose. Vladimir Pushkin, the leader of all the Russian criminal operations, sends his personal enforcer, Nikolai to Boston. Their mission is to find out who killed Slavy and his men and eliminate him. So, Nikolai arrives in Boston and heads to the place where Slavy and his crew were murdered. While he's inspecting the scene, the police detectives who work for Pushkin tell Nikolai that whoever killed Slavy and the others had also removed all the CCTV footage. Meanwhile, back at work, Robert goes looking for Ralphie, but he's not there. On top of that, Ralphie had withdrawn his job application for a security position. So Robert decides to go find him at the diner run by Ralphie's mom. When Robert gets there, Ralphie tells him that there was some kind of wire short circuit and their diner caught fire last night. That's when Robert starts to feel suspicious about the fire. At the same time, Nikolai, along with Detective Frank, goes to meet Little John, the head of the Irish mob, to question him about the murder of Slavy and his men. But when Nikolai hears what John has to say, he loses his temper and violently beats him. Shocked by the sudden attack, Frank asks Nikolai, "What the hell was that for?" And Nikolai replies, "Whoever killed Slavy and his crew, I want them to feel fear. That's why I did it." Later, Nikolai meets Mandy and asks her if she knows someone named Terry, but Mandy says she doesn't know anyone by that name. Then one night, 2 police officers show up at Ralphie's diner and threaten Ralphie's mom, demanding bribes. They warn her that if she doesn't pay them again on time, the place could go up in flames. After saying that, they just walk out. But Robert, who's sitting nearby, shows those same officers a video on his phone. It's a recording of them threatening Ralphie's mom and demanding money. Calmly, Robert tells them, either you return the money you took and stop doing this dirty work, or this video goes straight to the news. The officers try to attack Robert, but he beats them both down. Scared now, the two cops return the stolen money to Ralphie's mom the very next morning. And after that, Ralphie comes back to his job at Home Mart and just goes back to working like he always did. So during this time, Nikolai goes to meet Mandy again. He threatens her and questions her once more about Terry. Scared, Mandy finally admits that while Terry was in the hospital, a black man came to visit her, wanting to know what had happened to Terry. Even though Nikolai keeps pressing Mandy for more information about this man, she doesn't give him any answers. And since she had lied earlier by saying she didn't even know Terry, Nikolai ends up killing Mandy. Meanwhile, with Robert's help, Ralphie passes his security officer exam and officially becomes a security guard at Home Mart. Seeing this, Robert feels genuinely happy for him. Now, one day while Robert is working at Home Mart, a man walks in, threatens a female cashier at gunpoint, and steals all the cash in the register, along with a ring she was wearing. Robert watches the whole thing closely, but doesn't do anything to stop it. At the same time, thanks to the info Mandy gave earlier, Nikolai figures out that Robert is actually the one who killed Slavy. The next morning, when the female cashier opens the register again, she's shocked to find the stolen ring sitting right there inside the drawer. And since we see that Robert had recently bought a hammer from Home Mart, we realize it was him who took the ring back from the thief. Then, one day, while Robert is sitting alone in his room, Nikolai comes in and asks him about a murder that happened at a Russian restaurant. But Robert doesn't give him much to work with. So, as a kind of warning, Nikolai shows Robert a photo of Mandy and asks if he knows her. Robert says no. That makes Nikolai suspicious and he walks away, now having doubts about who Robert really is. After that, Nikolai starts tracking Robert everywhere he goes. He even digs into Robert's past but still can't find anything concrete about him. Then one day, as Robert is heading into the diner he always goes to, Nikolai, Frank, and a few others sit watching from a black SUV parked outside. While Nikolai keeps his eyes on Robert from the vehicle, he sends someone else into the diner to capture him. So at that moment, as the truck pulls in to block the entrance and close up the diner, Robert quickly attacks the guy who came in to grab him and makes his way outside. Meanwhile, before leaving, Robert was snapping photos of Nikolai and his team. Right after that, Nikolai and his team rush after Robert, trying to catch him, but Robert fights off several of them and manages to escape. Later, while Robert is treating one of the injuries he got during the fight, Nikolai and the others break into his room and search the place, but they can't find Robert anywhere. What they don't know is that Robert is actually watching them the whole time through the surveillance cameras he had installed in the room. Robert had already set everything up to make it look like he had escaped in a rush, just to throw them off. But Nikolai realizes it's all just a setup, none of it's real. Anyway, the next morning, Robert heads to Virginia to meet his friend Susan Plummer, a fellow retired operative, and her husband, Brian Plummer. He shows Susan a photo of Nikolai and says, "I need to know everything about this man." Later on, while Robert and Brian are talking, Brian says, "Susan never believed you died in that car bombing. No matter what anyone said, she never accepted it." While the two of them are talking, Susan comes back with the intel and tells Robert, "The man in the photo you showed me is Nikolai Ichenko. He was honored for his skills by the Russian military and now works under a Russian mob boss named Vladimir Pushkin. Pushkin finances all his operations and uses his political influence to protect them. He even has undercover agents working for him." Then she shows Robert a photo of Frank. So now that Robert has learned everything he needed to know, he gets ready to leave. Before he goes, Susan brings up his late wife. They share a quiet moment and she says goodbye. Then Brian turns to Susan and asks, "Were you able to help him?" And Susan replies, "He didn't come for help, he came for permission." After that, when Frank is in his house, his car's security alarm suddenly goes off. When he steps outside to check what's going on, Robert, who was hiding nearby, ambushes him, forces him into the car, handcuffs him, locks the doors, and sets it up so that the vehicle starts filling with carbon monoxide. As Frank struggles to breathe and panics, Robert demands information about Pushkin's operations. With no other choice and struggling for air, Frank finally agrees to cooperate with him. Later on, Frank takes Robert to one of the locations where Pushkin's money laundering operations are taking place. There, he leads Robert to Andrew, the guy overseeing the place. Robert quickly grabs the gun from Andrew's hand, points it at his face, and says, "Pushkin sent me. Whatever's going on here under his orders, stop it now." Therefore, all the work is halted. Then, Robert pays off everyone working there by giving them each a cut of the money and sends them away. After that, Robert tells Frank to report the entire operation to the Boston Police Department. A short while later, police officers arrive at the location, arrest Frank, and discover Andrew and the rest of the crew locked inside a room along with all the cash. That night, Nikolai is eating at a diner when Robert walks in and warns him, "If you keep following me, more people will get hurt. You need to stop this, right now." Having done that, Robert leaves the place. Using the intel he got from Frank, Robert goes through the stash of hidden files and evidence Frank had gathered about Pushkin's operations. While examining everything, Robert learns about a ship being used in Pushkin's trafficking network. He tracks down the ship and destroys it completely. When Pushkin finds out, he tells Nikolai to end Robert once and for all. So Nikolai, now heavily armed and backed by a new team, heads to Home Mart. They take Ralphie and the others hostage and call Robert. On the call, Nikolai threatens, "If you're not here in 30 minutes, they're all going to die." So, as Robert makes his way to Home Mart by bus, Nikolai and his team are tracking his phone. But Robert is already aware of this. To throw them off, he leaves only his phone on the bus and secretly sneaks into Home Mart without anyone noticing. Once inside, he attacks the guy holding Ralphie hostage, rescues Ralphie, and cuts the power inside the store. Then, with Ralphie's help, Robert takes down more of Nikolai's men, rescues the hostages, and tells Ralphie to get everyone out of the store safely. Meanwhile, Nikolai, along with a few more of his men, starts searching for Robert inside the darkened store. One by one, Robert uses clever tactics to eliminate each of Nikolai's men. At one point, Ralphie returns to Home Mart looking for Robert and tries to help him, but Nikolai sees them together and opens fire, injuring Ralphie in the leg. After that, Robert tells Ralphie to restore the power in exactly 40 seconds. Ralphie manages to do it just in time, and as soon as the lights come back on, the last member of Nikolai's team walks right into another trap set by Robert and dies instantly. Now completely enraged, Nikolai starts hunting for Ralphie and tries to shoot him. But right then, Robert shows up, shoots Nikolai, and kills him, bringing everything to an end. 3 days later in Moscow, while Pushkin is in his bathroom at home, Robert sneaks in and sets up an electrical trap, killing Pushkin too. As Robert walks out of the house, we see that he's taken down all of Pushkin's guards as well. Later, Robert returns to Boston. He meets Alina again, fully recovered from her injuries. She tells him that she got a good job and thanks him for everything he did. After saying goodbye, she walks away. And finally, we see Robert embracing his identity as the Equalizer, using his skills to help those in need, marking the powerful end of this action-packed, emotional, and unforgettable movie. So, what do you think about today's story? Don't forget to leave a comment and give a like below. Also, if you haven't subscribed to our Cinema Screen HD YouTube channel yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon by selecting all to stay updated. That's it for today. We'll see you soon in the next video. Until then, have a great day, everyone.